watching this, you're probably wondering who we are, where we are. Our detail shop in Marietta, Georgia, co-owned with myself and Aaron Knox.
Red's Detail Company is a detail shop that was created from nothing. We're constantly moving, we're constantly evolving, and we're constantly seeking growth. But our primary objective is to essentially bring back the days when you got what you paid for.
We specialize in high-end ceramic coatings, polishing, and paint protection films.
We have such an eclectic mix of people that come through here. We have collectors, we have competition enthusiasts, we have daily driven cars. There's no limitation to what we're capable of doing, just as long as we're capable of providing, excellence in everything that we do.
For the most part, Reds is exactly what we want it to be. It's not pretentious. We don't present ourselves as above thou. We're very honest up front.
When Wu and I started this, we had this vision, and of course, obviously it's grown from where we were back then, but one thing has always stayed the same, and that is, you can't really go anywhere nowadays without being pushed into some sort of numeric system. You can't even order food without being a number. And what we realized is that people are unique, and their vehicles are unique to them, and they treat them all differently. So why have a system when you can uniquely cater to each individual and essentially fulfill every desire that they have aesthetically on their automobile? All right, so what's going on today? We have a couple things. We've got this antique Dodge Stealth twin turbo that we literally did a total bring back on as far as the paint. We're going to hopefully be sending that home. We have a 50s model Resto Mod F100 Ford pickup truck with a Coyote motor and long tube headers in it that hopefully will be going home. And then we are going to start a new project. It is a custom painted twin turbo 06 Lamborghini Gallardo with 1,350 horsepower. The client had it PPF'd, which is an acronym for paint protection film, on the front nose of the vehicle, which is the entire hood, the entire fenders, the entire front bumper, and then a couple trim pieces down the side. So we're going to do an inspection of the vehicle because it was originally brought into us based on the fact that he had it polished and coated before, but wasn't necessarily pleased with the outcome of it. So we're going to go ahead and redo it for him today, Red's way. We got some wet sanding marks. Some high spots. Good bit of swirling. What you seeing over there, Wu?
Same stuff.
Same stuff.
Tight areas, wet sand DA marks, high spots.
Just looking over the car and the initial, before we actually start washing it and decontaminating it, we're finding a couple little things that need to be improved, which is, that's why it's at a detail shop, right? On inspection, we noticed that the entire front end of it is wearing paint protection film and clear bra. So a real quick, kind of easy way to look for that is to gently run your finger across the edges. And in here, you'll see very, very slight little difference where the film is actually sitting on top of the panel. So you can feel the edge, you know that it's covered. Obviously the mirrors, and probably some of the downward lower areas. We'll basically tape off those edges from the fender to the door and put a kind of a key indicator so that it's very vibrant, it's very bright, you can't miss it. That way you don't run the polisher over the PPF and disrupt anything going on, or get compound in the edges and the cracks, which is super irritating, super irritating. The way that we work here and the way that you really should be working when you're detailing a vehicle, first and foremost, first rule, number one rule is always going to be prep work. Prep work is everything. The better you prep a car, which is the cleaning, the decontaminating, going through the seals and the edges, and then working on the paint, decontaminating the paint, making sure that everything's smooth and true and clean from impurities, the better your quality or end result will be. Like most Lamborghinis, you'll notice the trim. A lot of the trim will be like kind of washed out or hazed. If you come back here, you'll be able to see it super easy, discoloring from here to here with the honeycomb. So just looking at this gives you a headache. You really have to be extremely careful with this. You don't want to put any of the dyeing agent on the paint. So we're going to tape this area off once we're done washing it, decontaminating it, so on and so forth. And we will individually address every single one of these little honeycombs. Talking about decontaminating the car. This is a twin turbo, custom built race car Lamborghini. Any car on the road, unless it's a zero emissions car like a Tesla, is going to put out exhaust. And exhaust is primarily composed of carbon. Carbon is a universal element. It'll bond to this pretty blue, it'll bond to this tag, why it's dingy looking, it'll bond to the carbon fiber, it'll bond to Bobby's shirt, it'll bond to the camera, it's already bonded to my hat. Well, it can also bond to dirt. And when it does, with driving, the dirt and the carbon are going to stick to the vehicle. And that's important to get off, because with metals, with any sort of calcium or lime or rust deposits, they can actually sit on the surface of this paint and continue to deteriorate it. So if you can imagine 1,350 horsepower, this is probably shooting out a little bit more carbon than the normal car. Current challenges of the day. So whenever a car has been repainted, in this industry, detailers kind of look at body shops like they're an inconvenience almost, but like you gotta kind of go back to like which came first, the chicken or the egg. And I can assure you that people weren't detailing cars without paint. The paint from this perspective, as opposed to like an OEM paint job, you might have plenty of clear coat to play with, you might have very little, and it's a dicey situation. So you have to go through this particular process extremely thoroughly, and just kind of watch your P's and Q's a lot more than you normally would with an OEM brand new car.
Common thing you'll find in misapplication of ceramic coatings is going to be high spots. And high spots are excess coating that hasn't been fully removed. You'll see streaks, you'll see a haziness sometimes. This one's actually pretty bad to the point where you can actually see a white streak going horizontally across the bumper. It's just sloppy work. It's really not taking the time or using the proper tools and lighting to remove all of the coating so that you're not getting the utmost clarity that you really deserve. It's really gonna either be, depending upon the type of coating, you might be able to remove it with a light polish, or maybe something like Car Pro's Essence, something really light, and you more than likely have to reapply the coating over it.
We're gonna wash this thing and then decontaminate like we talked about. And as I get this soap ultra frothy for you. They calling! If you look on YouTube or you look on the internet a lot, you'll see like these guys using super fancy foam cannons and being super delicate and so on and so forth. And like, I'm not necessarily opposed to super delicate. You have to ask yourself, is that step really necessary? Or can you just old-fashioned hand wash the car? And the answer is you can old-fashioned wash the car. And what we're using right now is obviously a super foamy soap. I think it's probably only got about like that much water in it. But it's got a great cleaning ability to it. And this will actually, I've washed a couple cars with this stuff before, and it'll kill, oils and residues and stuff on the vehicle. That's what I wish the dude with the truck would come. That'd be really nice. So I could not carry this anxiety with me all day. Good deal. All right.
You make me one too?
No, not yet. I haven't, sir.
So lazy. Is this the truck?
Oh, fuck. Is it the truck?
It is the truck.
It is the truck. We just finished up this 50s model F100 for this client. It was a complete shit show. So we had to go above and beyond. Resanding or retexturing, compounding, multiple stages of polishing, ceramic coating. And with a job of this size, no matter how many years of experience you have, you're still when they come to pick it up. So hopefully we'll see him happy. Look it over.
Looks good, man.
Look it over.
Sorry,
Thank
I'm
you.
just not
No, man, you're fine. You're fine. You're totally fine. Yeah. This paint is ultra, ultra, ultra soft, but you see the dust just sitting on there? Literally like brand new towel, it takes it right off. So I want you to feel how it altered the surface tension. So just kind of mimic what I did with that towel. You feel how soft it is? The surface tension, so you don't want to put a lot of pressure on it yet. You just want to gently touch it. The surface tension changes. That means that it's harder for stuff to stick to it. And I got a whole bunch of the wet sand marks out of it as well. The little rubber bracket that you'll see down on the floorboard, I believe is where I left it, is one of the rubber pieces that were under the hood.
Okay.
And it literally was just sitting. But we'll go over all of that. Not only that, but because you got your car coated here, you get a discount on all of those products. Cool?
Yep.
Very cool. You put so much time and effort, and when I say that, it's over 100 hours into that vehicle alone, easy. You realize that it's not about the money anymore. It's more about like that person just being beside themselves. And so I worry about it, I lose sleep about it, and the dude was super happy, so we're good. Oh, and we got paid. Now back to this damn Lambo. You hear a lot of the people talking about like the 3-bucket method or a 15-bucket method, so on and so forth. Again, we're going to simplify the process because we're going to be compounding and polishing this car. So we're basically redoing it. So we're gonna use 2 buckets here. Obviously your wash bucket with your grit guards. But then we're gonna talk about the wheel and the rocker / lower parts of the car bucket. So what we have is a little bit of Meguiar's all-purpose cleaner. We like to use this because it's extremely cost effective. And when you do multiple cars, like if you own a shop, so on and so forth, this is a seriously great product. Again, we're gonna use Meguiar's product again. This is all wheel cleaner. The reason I like this is because it's safe. It's not an acid-based wheel cleaner. So you can use it on satin matte wheels, you can use it on chrome, you can use it on aluminum, you name it, and not really have to worry about it compromising the wheel. And in this particular occupation, that's super important. So our first selection, which is a great selection, is a wheel woolly. And you see how long that is, so you can stuff it into the back of the wheel and get all of the real hard to reach areas. But what do you do under the caliper? Well, this is one of those cleaning brushes that basically has a tiny little wire in the very center of this. So this will all compress, so you can actually get under it. And it bends a little bit, so that way you can get your leverage. We also have a boar's hair brush. We also have a soft bristle brush here. We use this primarily for the faces. And then you have your microfiber wash mitt.
And they're not clear coated.
Right. Yeah, it's a satin matte.
open water. They're already stained.
They're already stained?
Yes. I don't know what the fuck he's been doing, but they're brown and they're not coming off. You start noticing stains pop up. You need a flashlight? Yeah.
I mean, the inside of the barrel's chalky as f.
Yeah, but even if you start abrading it, look, like, don't have little, I've got these weird stains on the arms. How's your front looking?
I don't know, I'm just rinsing it off right now. How's yours looking?
There are some weird spots, but they were already there. I didn't spray anything. See that? See that little circular of poop? Can you see? Yeah, I didn't do that. That was already there. Same thing, you see this?
Yeah, no, there's shit on the wheel. I mean, you can see it right here too.
I already cleaned that.
That's crazy.
That's why I would never get powder coated wheels.
When we were washing this wheel, we noticed there's a bunch of inconsistencies in the color of the wheel. You get spots and what looks kind of like stains. It's inconsistent throughout the wheel. So, prime example, the barrel of the wheel is clean and all very consistent, but the face has got these like little spots. It looks like someone that had been maintaining this vehicle might have used something a little bit too abrasive as far as a chemical to clean it, which has compromised the finish. You know, these wheels are extremely expensive, so obviously, you know, you want to be able to present the best product that you can. So we're going to give you a quick fix on how to kind of address something like this, and it just so happened that it worked on this wheel. It might not on, you know, the next set of, you know, satin black powder coated wheels. But what I did was I noticed that it was responding to me rubbing my finger across it in some areas, which tells me that that's a super surface issue. It hasn't like truly penetrated into like the actual metal of the wheel, that it's still in the finish and it's relatively light in the finish. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna choose CarPro Essence. And the reason that I'm choosing this is because it's a super, super, super low abrasive set. It's not like a compound or a polishing compound. And it's also got an enhancing agent in it, if you will. Instead of using a regular, you know, like a microfiber towel or something like that, I used my finger. And the reason that I did that is because with a machine, you're gonna be, even with a little mini DA, you would be entirely way too aggressive, and you don't wanna compromise the finish. More so, you wanna add to the finish. You wanna kind of, you know, bring it back. With a towel, the fibers in the towel will be inconsistent, so you'll have these lines and scratches. You don't wanna prevent that as much as possible. So literally, quite literally, what I'm going to do is I'm going to dab a little bit of this on my finger and slowly and softly rub it into the surface and see if we can't, you know, drastically improve the overall finish on the wheel. I'll work it in a little bit. And if you can get a good spot where it's super spotty and inconsistent, so you see what I'm talking about there. So I'm gonna use a little bit of this. And I'm just gonna buff off the residue. And there you go. Got yourself a nice finish on the wheel. That's a super daunting task. So we've already taken the liberty of calling the client and addressing the issue with them, and they want to go ahead and proceed forward. So that basically means, you know, we're going to get paid for the additional amount of time that I'm going to pretty much finger bang this wheel. Love that ooey.
It'll be great right now, a mitt with a little pocket where you can put your hand in it.
I'll put you in my little pocket. You stink.
Thanks.
Reaching out, touching me, touching you. You see what I did there?
I see. That was a good ad lib.
If you keep the philosophy in the back of your mind that the less you touch the car, the less opportunity there is to, potentially scratch the car, mar the car, damage the car in any way. So one of the greatest tools that you can purchase is going to be a air tool of some sort. Now we've got a little bit fancier one. This is a Master Blaster.
Let us begin.
Bobby, guess what time it is? It's fucking puppy time. What better way to take a break than have puppy time? Puppy time. Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna go into, we just got done washing it, and we're gonna go into the decontamination process. What we're going to do is we're definitely gonna address the rear end of it, because we love addressing those rear ends. But we're gonna talk about the two main forms that are out on the market right now. So one of them, which is a huge time saver, is gonna be nanoskin. And it's basically like this little rubber membrane, if you will, that's got grooves in it on a foam interface. And it's got hook and loop on the back of it. A lot of the time, so you can either put it on one of those hand pads and make it easier to use, or you can actually put it on the back of a machine if you really want to get rowdy. This is somewhat of an aggressive product, and it will definitely mar the paint or put swirls in it. The other one is the old-fashioned clay bar. Obviously, I need to think about replacing this pretty soon, but it's still good enough to get this job done. The reason that automotive clay is so cool is because you can pretty much knead it however you want, and when you gently glide it over the surface, when it's somewhat lubricated, it'll pick up contaminants and impurities with ease. This is the tricky part, is that sometimes nanoskin will pick up impurities, depending on what they are, easier than this. And sometimes this will pick up impurities easier than this. So experience doing it over and over and over again will definitely help you decipher between which tool to use. So this thing wasn't super bad. It's obviously got impurities on it. So we're basically just taking a little bit of a heavily diluted waterless wash and a clay bar to it. The mist is important to me, so if you see the way that it's spraying, I'm constantly changing out the sprayers. I don't want anything to get coagulated and just like spit stuff on there. I want the lubrication to be consistent across the surface so that I can just subtly hydroplane across the surface without really having to like truly mar or dig in to the surface, which prevents, deeper scratches later on. While I do that, what feels clean to your bare fingers won't feel clean if you just simply wrap your hand around a plastic bag. So a cool little trick to do while you're claying the surface is to feel after you've gone over a patch. And there's a little bit of impurity in this area. So I can spray it and know to continue to work that area until it becomes smooth. Ooh, yeah. Now it's time to compound and polish. What we have here is a Rupus 21 Legacy, which was the older version 1 machine, I believe, and the Mark II 21. We're gonna select this machine first. It's a little bit more powerful, comparatively speaking to like the 15 that they offer, or the 3-inch. But we're gonna run it at a medium kind of speed, medium compression. We're gonna do a test spot because this vehicle has been repainted. If you're polishing on cars that have been repainted, it's a dicey situation because you could potentially have a bunch of clear to work with, or you could have a very minimal clear. And even with OEM cars, a prime example would be the newer Corvette C7s. The paint on those panels is all very inconsistent. So you always want to proceed with caution and go in light at first, do a test spot, see how the paint responds, see how it's talking to you, what it does like, what it doesn't like, and then you kind of formulate your plan from there, if that makes sense. I'm gonna walk you through a couple little things in the first initial cut that'll show you how I'm kind of determining which process to select. We're gonna use products that are tried and true. They've been on the market for decades. First things first is we need to go ahead and go with a pad selection. We're cutting this vehicle, so we want something that's somewhat aggressive. I am going to omit a foam selection right now because I want to go ahead and get directly to the point. I want to get to a precise cutting pattern and not have to go through a sequence of foam and be left desiring more. Hey, what's up guys? When you're watching this, you're gonna notice a couple things. One, this machine's pretty heavily used. We use the ever-living shit out of our machines. Two, I took the shroud off. Rupus will not condone that, so do not be like Knoxy. I do that because I want free spinning. I want this to be able to free spin as it oscillates. So one of the key factors and something that I'm super particular about is centering the pad. And I like to make sure that it's somewhat straight. If you get it off and it's doing one of these deals, you're going to get more cut in the wrong area of the pad, and this could flange off. And depending on how soft the clear is, you'll have some very weird, intricate signatures in your clear coat, and you won't necessarily know how to finish those down. So I like to just do like a little star there. I'm gonna prime this pad all the way across. And that way all of the fiber gets touched. And yeah, I even do the sides. Cool, so let's run our first pass. I'm gonna grab a towel and then we'll see what we got. Doing exactly what we need it to. So a lot of you are probably wondering why after every single one of these passes I'm using this. And the reason being is that when you're compounding or you're polishing, the friction from this and these fibers are picking up dead clear coat or old clear coat. You've got abrasive sets that are expired, you name it, stuck in this pad. So by lifting it up out of the fiber, you're taking it out of the pad instead of trying to use a traditional brush, or it doesn't do as much, let's say, as the Tornador. So if you want a clean surface to work with and a clean pad, every pass, then you're not, grinding stuff back into the clear coat that you're trying to correct. When we first initially talked about the compounding or cutting stage on this vehicle, we briefly talked about how it had been, repainted, and that there was a really high probability that the paint could potentially be softer than OEM paint jobs or what we're used to. We used the Meguiar's microfiber cutting pad and Meguiar's M205, which is actually a polish. We were 100% right on our assessment. This particular clear coat was extremely soft. So this was actually a little bit more aggressive than what we needed, and it left some pretty unique micro-marring signatures in the clear coat that we don't really want to put into the vehicle. So we're going to go ahead and switch down to a foam selection and then use the same M205 polish and see if we can get a better result with a better kind of finish that'll set us up for that next step, which would be completely final finishing the car. We got to see the kind of cut and finish from the cut that we got from the foam selection that we made in the polish. And now it's time for our next step, which is gonna be the final polish. What we've done is we've basically outfitted the same polisher, which is our 21, our Rupus 21. Well, we've taken the Rupus yellow pad, which is a little bit softer than the orange HDO pad that I selected for the cutting process. I'm gonna switch out the polish as well. So this is made by a company called O'Burke. This is their Supreme polish. It is a fantastic final polish. Amazing working time. A little bit goes a long way. Absolutely check this out if you're looking for another solution to be able to finish down a car and get some really good color, get some really good gloss. So with me saying that a little bit goes a long way, we're not going to prime the pad the same way that we did when we were cutting with foam. We're gonna shake up the bottle, and then I'll spread it around and work into the cells. So a little bit less product. You could have drawn on this pad, like I did before with the cutting pad, but what I wanna do is I wanna work it in. You'll also notice that my technique with holding the polisher is a little bit different, and the reason that I'm doing that is because when I'm finishing, I don't want the polisher to tilt or wobble or anything like that. So I'm actually going to use the locking mechanism, the locking feature that this Rupus has on it, and I'm gonna use a more controlled form. We're gonna show you how to properly condition it and bring it back to life, give it all the, the luster that it had when it was brand new. This product is called Solution Finish. It is absolutely amazing. This is the black color. I think they actually have a different one too, like a grayish color for gray trim. You wanna put it on, you wanna kind of work it in evenly, you wanna make sure that it's all really consistent, and then you wanna give it a proper cure time. So, don't let it get wet, or don't wash the vehicle after you do it. Let it cure for 24 to 48 hours. I'm gonna show you how to do this. This is a ceramic coating applicator block. And the reason that I use it is because this foam, this orange foam right here, is actually a little bit, kind of dense. It's still squishy, it'll still bend, but it gives it enough backing to where you have support. So that the product isn't just going squishing through like if it were just a foam wax applicator, which you could still use. It won't come through and onto your fingers. Even though, even though I'm using this, I'm still using gloves. This stuff is messy, it's black. You don't want to get it all over yourself. So I'm not going to do it over the car, obviously, but I just want to get enough on there to see how it's going to respond. So I want you to pay attention to this faded plastic right here. And I taped off this area. As you can see, it's already starting to kind of come up on there. So, you always want to try to tape off an area and make sure that you don't get it on the paint. It's not going to hurt it if you do, but you don't want to leave it on there, that's for sure. We are talking about a black stain. So, and I'll go ahead and just work this in real well. To get into like the bends and the curvatures, I don't know if you guys were paying attention to the little foam sticks that we were using to clean out lug nuts and so on and so forth. That's a super handy trick to get into curvatures and bends and little divots and stuff like that, because it's pretty much the same kind of foam. And it's on a stick, so you can't really get it on your fingers. But what I'm gonna do is I'm just going to continue to work this product into the plastic. It's already given it a great shine, a great luster, lots of color. And then when I'm done with that, I just take like an older microfiber towel. Sorry, this is why gloves are good. Somehow I've gotten this on my hands. No idea how I did that. But what I'll do is I'll basically wrap it around my finger and just kind of work the product in. And that way it's not, you don't have The excess sitting there, that's what you want to stay away from. So that's what the microfiber's for. It also helps you kind of spread the product around. You know, if you got a little too much on there, you always want to be really careful. And then I'll stuff it right under that tape line and run the edge as well. Again, with these little foam applicator things, I can't speak highly enough about this. Like a pack of these things will absolutely increase, you know, whether you're a professional detailer, increase your quality. What I'm gonna do is I'm basically going to put it over the hole, put my finger behind it, and just tilt the bottle over and get just enough in there on the foam. And I'll show you how to get into the honeycombs. We just finished up the Lamborghini. It's a super high stakes car with finicky paint. And all in all, I think it came out fantastic. I think the client's gonna be super stoked. Wu, what do you think?
It could be better.
Make sure to hit that subscribe button if you like what you're watching thus far.